I had a dream last night. I became more aware of what happens when you have oneness and connectivity, which is a very different spirituality than one where God is big and we're small and we're, sinful. But we're in a oneness relationship with God, and we're in a oneness relationship with each other. There is a level of intimacy that we achieve in this brand of spirituality, and in some others as well, of course, that is shattering. Now, what do I mean by that? By that this is shattering. When we're children, we develop an inner space, which is our sacred place where we go, where we can rebel against our parents, our teachers, and everything else, and have our own opinions, right? How many of us as children really were given the opportunity to think or feel anything that was authentic to us? It was kind of rare, especially in our day. And I don't mean license to be mean. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about connecting to the deepest parts of ourselves and being resonant with that. And for so many of us growing up, that was a private affair. We could not express what was happening within us. We felt too dependent on other people's approval, on other kids' approval. Sometimes we were rebellious against parents because we were trying to act a certain way with other kids. Sometimes we were imitating parents. How many of you have seen a young boy, 10 years old, who walks, talks, struts just like his dad? And you look at it and you think, who is that child? Does that child even know? That child may be taking on a condescending attitude towards his mother because he's seeing that being modeled by dad. Or the girl who's already taking on the mother's contempt for men. Or the need to be sweet. And you hear and see these children who look and sound like clones. Have you had that experience? Now, where do these children go to connect to themselves, if they even do it at all, is an inner sanctum, that place inside that we used to feel when we were children, when we were angry, when we were really angry, or sad when we were really sad, or scared when we were really scared. And some of us felt free to share that with our parents, but many of us did not. And we've created a wall around that inner sanctum where we had our opinions, our thoughts, our resentments, and we held that as sacred. And what happens when you bring in another way of being, which is what we are trying to help bring forth on the earth, which is oneness? It brings intimacy. Intimacy with ourselves, to be very authentic to ourselves and be honest about how we feel, which is so difficult for us to do. Intimacy with each other, sharing what we really feel and fear. Intimacy with God, if we have a God. Intimacy with the universe. And what risk that is, that we will actually be seen for who we are. Some of us are embarrassed by who we are or how we perceive ourselves. Some of us are downright ashamed. Some of us know that we are not as competent as we're pretending to be, or as smart as we want people to think we are, or as fearless or as talented. As fearless as maybe our fathers want to believe we are. As nice as our teachers want us to look, and our moms. And to be intimate is to break down that sacred wall that has become so thick and entrenched that even we can't see in half the time. How many times, even now, do we have a feeling that we dismiss instantly and can't even remember that we had? And then in a support call, or in a counseling session, or in some other moment, through some experience, we are triggered to remember, oh yes, I had that thought, but I didn't pay any attention to it. And I didn't reveal it. Buried under tons and tons and tons of debris of programmed behavior and programmed thinking. So we are barely intimate with ourselves. Can you relate? And then with one another. I don't want you to see me. I am not who I pretend to be. If you will see me, you will see that I'm weak, or that I'm arrogant, or that I'm mean, or that I'm angry, or that I'm scared, or whatever, and you will use it against me. So first, I don't want to see it myself. And second, I sure as heck don't want you to see it. Now, we're talking about a universe where we're teaching oneness consciousness, right? It's not a separation between the big God and the sinful me. Jesus, the special dude who died on the cross, and that slob who I married. And in that universe where we are teaching oneness consciousness, we are learning to get past that wall that we have created between us and ourselves. Or certainly between us and others. Do I want you to know what I'm fantasizing about? Do I want you to know how resentful I really am? Do I want you to know how angry I am? How disdainful, how contemptuous I am towards you? How much I need you? How small I feel? How puffed up I am? Now, as we train ourselves in the tools of being in oneness, not only our 9 platforms in the Living with Reality book, which we study, but also in our developing our intuition, we are developing in ourselves the capacity to break through that inner sanctum. I had a dream last night that blew my mind about, that really described how I relate to so many people, especially the people I'm close to, especially my clients, of going past that wall into the inner sanctum to know how you feel. I have to penetrate as a counselor, and others of you who are counselors know this. We train ourselves to go past the resistance of the client, to go into the depth of the heart of the person, and to feel what they are really, really feeling that they themselves may not be aware of. And what do you think is going to happen when you go past that wall? Massive defense. I finally got the obvious that as a counselor, as an intuitive counselor particularly, and those who do intuitive work will recognize this, that I am always disturbing people. No matter how friendly, supportive, non-threatening I try to look or act. I put on the happy face, say positive, reassuring things to the client, try to make them feel safe, and they still want to kill me at the end of the day. And all I've done is try to help them. Well, why? And I just got it. It's because by virtue of what we are trying to do, we have crossed over the line. And you guys are doing the same thing with one another. As you develop the capacity to have more and more compassion and to see into one another, that intimacy thing of into me, see. It is not just that I see it, it's that you see it. It's that we all see it. That we come to this spiritual service to be transparent. And it doesn't come naturally. To be transparent to ourselves, to be transparent to one another, to be transparent to the world. In a marriage or in an intimate relationship, two roommates, dear friends, a very smart supervisor and an employee, or a very smart employee looking at the supervisor. Those of us who have been developing our capacity to perceive and understand and have compassion and have worked with these things and who are intuitive or very observant, we see past those walls and those defenses are up. No matter how well-meaning we are, it will not be heard that way, not immediately. And if I am deep enough into your psyche to be able to see what is really going on with you, then I am in an energy field with you in such an intimate way that I am going to open myself up to feeling how you're reacting to me. If I am outside of you and I'm not deeply connected to you, you can think anything you want and I'm not going to feel it very much. Oh, of course I will feel it because we are ultimately one. But if I am actually honing that skill of being at one with you, I am going to be at one with you. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to feel what you're feeling, not only about your sister-in-law, but also what you're feeling about me.
Lee, can you mute your Skype, please? Thank you.
So that means that we have two things to offer. One feels very safe and liberating. Oh my God, I am no longer in a spiritual belief system that shames me, and I am free, and I can be free to be me, as we always do in our spiritual service when we come to people sharing, which we tend to do towards after I speak is that people start to share, and how liberating that is, and how liberating it is to feel no longer shame about being a human being. But on the other hand, we are offering you a wonderful opportunity to let down the walls around your inner sanctum, and there is an immediate visceral reaction of, oh my God, this is not safe. You are going to see me. You're going to hold this against me. I'm going to be hurt. I mean, it goes back to our youngest childhood experiences where it did not feel safe. And we're already reacting before we even know that we're being stimulated. And how that connects to the spirituality that I was talking about offering our spiritual service to the world, is that when people are just watching it on some video screen, they can be safe. They can watch us be transparent. They can watch us expose ourselves. They can watch us react and embarrass ourselves in public. But they are safe because they are behind their computer. And when people come in to participate, as we do also when we have people sharing, we have expanded the number of people who are going to be reacting negatively to being exposed. So we are offering something that is both very inviting because it eliminates shame, because that's in our belief system, and something that triggers shame, which is being exposed, and triggers fear, which is that you will see me and you will hold something against me. And every one of you who works in the world, lives in the world, whether it's just as being a parent, or as Richard is going to be going out and working with these kids, or counseling, or interacting with the public at different levels of intimacy, you are going to be experiencing the same thing that I am, which is the fear reaction of people who are being seen by you. Just as a tutor, your job is to help that child see their weaknesses and strengthen themselves. But that means you have to see where they're weak. Does any child want to be seen as weak? Of course not. So automatically, the more service we do on the planet, the more intimate we are with people. The doctor who looks at the patient and says, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you have cancer. The handyman who has to go out and tell the person, I'm really terribly sorry to tell you this, but you've got dry rot. And this is going to cost you another $800, is going to be triggering the self-protective mechanism that I am triggering when I go deep into your psyche and say, this is not what you're feeling. You're telling yourself you're doing this or behaving this for this reason, but it's not true. I see you. So welcome to the world of intimacy. We want it, we don't. I want you to help me, but don't see me. I want you to see me, but I want to control how much. I want to be transparent as long as it doesn't threaten me, my survival. So know that as you embark on your year, 2014, that every one of us walks in a world where we are constantly triggering other people, threatening their sense of security on various levels. And as we develop our intuitive capacities, which are helping us to help one another, we are going to trigger that even more. And we've got to learn how to deal with that. But the first step towards that is to recognize that it's there. We can run away from this challenge or we can embrace it. As the person being triggered, we can run away from that challenge or embrace it, because in my dream, when I made all these efforts to reach somebody, in that moment, I could feel that that person had the choice of either embracing me or killing me. And in the dream, the person was killing me, so I got out of Dodge. But we, as that person on the other side, you and your check-in calls, in our community, coming in even once, being willing to be open, you can embrace what we have, which is the ability to see ourselves and one another that we are constantly developing. You can embrace it because you say, no matter how much my gut reaction is that I am being threatened, my higher consciousness tells me that this is the key to my liberation and freedom. It is the intimacy. It's the being seen. It's the being exposed. The very thing I dread the most is my salvation. And yes, there are going to be environments where people will use it against me. Oh, well. Our whole world needs to drop the walls to the inner sanctum and start getting real, so that we can develop deeper understanding of one another, and so we can begin to help one another. What is really going on for you, and can I help you? I'm not going to go further with this in my talk today, but I am asking you to look within and ask yourself, am I willing to make 2014 the year that I embrace being seen and being exposed? Because I know that only when I do can I be helped. And why don't we take a moment to meditate on that? In my intimate relationship with a mate, a friend, even at work, in the community, wherever I am. And I'm willing to take the risk of being attacked by someone whose inner sanctum I have breached. And learn to deal with the backlash rather than run away, play it safe, and have less to offer. And as I contemplate that choice, each one of you who identifies as the stream needs to ask yourself, are you willing to do that with the stream? I mean for the stream. I mean be the stream in the world and trigger whatever kind of reaction comes when you breach the inner sanctum of someone who desperately needs to be seen, so he or she can begin to heal. Are you willing to take that chance? Is the stream willing to take the chance this year? And those of you who watch this video who are not in the stream, this applies to you just as much. And those who feel as though they want to, that they really want to make this statement, please repeat after me. I am committed to being transparent in all my relationships.
I am committed to being transparent in all my relationships.
In the face of my fear,
In the face of my fear,
I open my inner sanctum.
I open my inner sanctum.
I am willing to risk the anger
I am willing to risk the anger
of those whose inner sanctums I am breaching
of those whose inner sanctums I am breaching.
when my intention is the highest good.
When my intention is the highest good.
Let's make 2014 the year of no lies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Come sit next to you.
And now, whoever cares to open up their inner sanctum is invited to share.
I would like to share first, if I may. My biggest barrier, my biggest block to opening up my inner sanctum, to being transparent, is my fear of loss of love. Fearing that another person saw me with all the bullshit and all the pretending and all the angers and negativities, negative feelings that I have, that I wouldn't be loved anymore. The primary arena that this has shown up, well, one of the primary arenas has been with my daughter. I raised my daughter with this image that I needed to be the ideal, loving, caring father. And so instead of being real with her and transparent with her, I wound up being very merged with her and being at her service to keep demonstrating, to keep showing myself that I was of value by this role of being this ideal, loving, caring father, which was a pretense because obviously no one is. And the result has been that my denial has carried over into her denial, and she's very blocked and very stuck in her own denial. And so I'm going to have to be doing some very transparent communications with her about I am that is what she is experiencing, and disclosing my stuff more fully. And this has also come up in my one-to-one relationships, my intimate relationships, as with Beth, for example. And what's there is I do, and I'm really a perfect example of what she's talking about, of going into huge defensiveness, when she penetrates my defenses and tells me I'm not as smart as I think I am, even if I am smart, but not as smart as I think I am, when all my life, my badge of being valued in life is to be smart, and to show that I'm smart, that I know what I'm talking about. And so being transparent, I'm fortunate to be in a relationship with someone who can see my bullshit, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but still love me. And that takes away a lot of the fear. But nonetheless, my programmed patterns cause me to get triggered into defensive reactivity and anger. So, and my anger is destructive because that's negative energy projected at her or anybody else who breaches my inner sanctum. And so I feel contrite about how I have done that to her and other people. And I feel committed to allowing myself to be as transparent as possible, to allow people to see the good, the bad, and the ugly in me, and also resonate with theirs, so that we can be together more on this path of being honest and transparent. You know, and Beth came up with a phrase in one of the men's retreats, which was disclose it. It's review it, to heal it, and repeal it. So just reveal what's really going on inside is my motto for this year. And to be accepting of when she breaches or anybody else breaches my inner sanctum, and feeling gratitude that, hey, hallelujah, I've got some help here with stuff that I've been blocking myself from knowing and moving on and transforming. So that's what I want to share with you all. And I appreciate the support that I get on my support call. It's just great being able to reveal stuff, disclose stuff, and have the support to keep being transparent, more and more transparent.
Thank you.
Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
I feel like the area where I most try to pretend and keep up like some image that's ridiculous is at work. And the idea, I mean, I'm game, but the idea of being more transparent about my own flaws and being more honest with people about things that I think need to be shared, being part of the management team, it really feels scary to me. You know, it really feels scary to me. It feels very threatening to my ego's construction of how I'm supposed to be at work. And when you were sharing at the beginning, Beth, about how when we are intimate with people and we, you know, when we're in a position where we're supposed to point out to people where they're weak, you know, how there's a backlash, you know, that's coming at me a lot now because of my management responsibilities and needing to help strengthen the team. And the people that report to me, I used to feel more love, and now I feel more fear. You know, and it's hard. I mean, I like, you know, the love feeling better, you know, but we're not buddies.
Yeah.
And I kind of rolled that, you know, wave of when I first came back, I was the buddy, but now, you know, I'm the boss again. And so, you know, just letting all that be, that part feels easier to let be than the part of really being more transparent with like my bosses and saying things. I think I'm really confused about what our objective is, and I don't think people really want to get very clear. So, you know, there's some conversations I need to like start and just approach without being shaming or blaming, but to be in the inquiry, and I've been avoiding them.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. That was very good. And everybody understands that I'm talking about sharing in order to support somebody as opposed to sharing in order to put them down. I mean, we that's different.
Hey, Chris, are you on mute?
I can relate to what Chris was saying. But I read this really funny article recently. It's called 5 Reasons Not to Meditate. And it's all about how meditation forces you to kind of be with yourself. And I have resisted meditation for many, many years, off and on. And I think that's one of the reasons. And I just downloaded a guided meditation. UCLA is doing I guess they have a whole section research on mindfulness and meditation. And it's a really, really good thing. And what it does is it has you just focus on your breathing, but then notice what distracts you from it and to label it. So if it's a thought or an emotion, So my meditation goes like, okay, I'm focusing on my breathing for like 4 breaths. And then it's like fear, 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 anxiety, anxiety, worrying, planning, strategizing, fear. Like if I'm really honest about what's going on, and I don't relate to myself like that. I think I'm a more courageous, confident person than what I see when I quiet myself and see what's really in there, you know, inside the inner sanctum. And
the cesspool within.
the cesspool within. Yes. The sacred cesspool within. Especially like how many workshops have I done and things, you know. I like how much I can't take any more medications. Like I've done everything. So, and I, you know, I definitely have an image of myself that should be different, and I want to project a different image, and I find it embarrassing, especially because at work, people do see me. And you can't say much bullshit because my boss will just say, stop, 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 stop. Literally, will say that. Stop, 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 stop. And but at the same time, it is nice when people do see me, even when it's embarrassing. Sometimes. I mean, at the first, it feels incredibly horrible, awful. And but I guess, you know, ultimately in our community in the stream too, we feel safer because people see us, and that, you know, that you all, you know, take the time to say something and go in there when you know I might, you know, lash out or not like what you have to say. And so as far as the commitment to being transparent, I was like, what? I was like, why are we talking about this topic? I thought we were going to talk about like a good New Year thing or something. That's how I feel about it.
Thank you for sharing and being transparent about that.
What's that?
Thank you for sharing and being
Okay, yeah.
about that.
That's what I have to say about that. And at the same time, I can see that it is my job to go in with people, even though I'm not a counselor. You know, I am a counselor. I'm a PR counselor. I'm a consultant. And this year will require me to be not so good, or to be the one that's loved or liked, or wanted. Like I so like to be wanted, and not to pretend that I'm so happy to be working on some client work when I'm not. To seem like I'm the good, you know, brave cheerleader. So so yes, I will take that on, even though I don't feel, you know, like yay. I can see where that would lead to a lot of growth.
Thank you.
When you mentioned about not wanting to meditate, I realize that I do almost anything not to look within. Be busy, sleeping a lot, actually. And just in a relationship with my parents, I see things that they do that are painful for them. And yet I don't let my inner sanctum out about how I see that, for fear that they're going to, it sounds stupid, but they're going to disown me. That's what it feels like. Better to let them just keep going. You know, the saying often is, well, they've been married 64 years, they're used to it. Instead of maybe there's a possibility for a breakthrough. And I know that the way I might approach it isn't going to work. And I'm left with, that doesn't occur to me actually to say, to say that to them. So I just feel very tight around that. And it doesn't make sense, but that's what's there.
Thank you. It's interesting that people aren't bopping up. Usually, so I gather that this is going to be one of the least successful spiritual services, and this will be the beginning of the end of having a spiritual service at all. Rather than the beginning of our really standing behind our spiritual service and offering it to people, no matter how they react to it.
What got me up was I was noticing my body language. I was sitting in the chair holding my hands like tense. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost kind of freaking out here. I appreciate, I want to remember to say this, that I appreciate when you spoke, I believe you said, we just weren't raised to do this.
Oh.
It's like we came out and we got, this is how I relate to you. You're cute when you laugh. Please laugh. Come here and be cuddly and happy for me. I think too that I have such a hard time when people aren't happy around me. I have such a hard time being with that I understand I feed it both ways. I understand why they feed it in me, and I understand why I want it in them. Yeah. I don't know what to do with it at times. And when I think about being an intuitive counselor, hypnotherapy training therapist person, I have been really challenged to be with that which is hard for me to be with. Just simply that, just hard to be with. And how much I want to run from it or figure out some quick answer for it. And it makes me believe often enough that it's not right for me to go in that direction. Then when I was listening to you, I was saying to myself, well, really what my challenge is that, to be with people's things that are hard to be with. And God knows, when I am hard to be with, I'm so grateful when someone will take that on, and just, even if they're just quiet, they just take it on by being there. And I do want to offer that to others. And I do want to find the ability to be with my shit. I mean, that would be transformative. I was also sitting there thinking about how counterintuitive this whole idea is, but I can also see I can bring an intuitive line to it. I can bring consciousness and say, this is a salvation. Transforming that. Thank you. Into seeing it as a line of, it's not going to go away. Just because I keep protecting it, it's not going to go away. What will reveal it, what will help it, is to reveal it. And stop making it so shameful that I have to hide it.
Right. And then, Rose, you still have to deal with how people are going to react when you do reach that. How many times have those of us who are, in the counseling profession, for example, had sessions with clients that went so deep that you knew they were really back there, back in the womb, back at 2, really feeling their feelings, and then you never hear from them again. When you know you've actually done a good job, and that's because you have reached the inner sanctum. And even though in the moment there may be an acceptance, it doesn't mean there won't be a backlash. And so not only do you have to be with whatever feelings people are having, but you have to be able to deal with the reaction they're going to have afterwards. And I have noticed that very often after a workshop, I'll get really sick. And well, I'll say, gee, but that was such a great workshop.
Yeah.
So it's all of that. Yes, indeed.
And also my, I have to reveal this. It's my tendency to know how I did by how people react, and if they go away, or if I feel lousy afterwards, or if they are grumpy or anything, it all is some sort of answer to me that you've screwed it up or made it worse or something, and.
Right. Plus, you will feel their feelings because you have been so deeply into their psyches. You are so intimate with them that at that moment it's hard to distinguish between you and them.
And then something came up this week that Christopher revealed a backlash that maybe the stream was having on something, and but it included the idea that the backlash reveals that we were up to transforming something. And so, it's my worst interpretation that the backlash is, oh no, it's, terrible, instead of that it is actually helping some evolutionary step. And so I appreciate that reminder.
That's right. That's very good. Remember this phrase that came to me over 30 years ago, which is temporary insanity based on progress.
Great.
They're lining up now.
All right. Of course, as we get closer to the end, any time.
This resonates so much with me, and I feel such fear around it. But it feels like, yes, this is the next step. And I just put it out there that I want help from everybody, from God, from my own self. And this just feels very transformative to be at this point and to be going this direction.
I like that one.
I agree. As I was listening to you, I mean, this happens a lot because you're connected. There's like a pin drop kind of feeling like this is timeless. As I was listening to about the intimacy and how you started the conversation. So I was saying about timeless, and I don't know where I was going from there. I don't know where you lost me.
That's what I heard. You said something that's timeless. You could hear the pin drop, and that's really all we heard.
Okay. And I feel hopeful. I mean, of course, there's always fear, but I think I'm used to that now. I want more of the other, not the thing to run away from, but the thing to go toward. I mean, I feel like that's where I'm going, and that's what I've been doing. And so I feel very hopeful that we can do that together. We can't do it alone. No. So that's what's so great about this community, is that we are strengthening our ability to do that with each other. And that just makes it, and we see what comes from that. We see the blow-ups that happen, but then we come back together. We've seen it enough over time of our community that we know we can trust the process, and we can then trust that with others. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to emphasize today, is the strength that we have as a community because we've been able to do this process, and because we've been messy with it, and we've had the blow-ups, and we know we didn't die, And so there's really like, okay, so, all right, so someone yells at me. All right, got it. Let's just keep going. And so that gives me a lot of hope that I can do that with others, and to just keep remembering that.
Wow, I love that you said that, Todd. For so many people, they'll say, well, I don't want to invite one more person to our spiritual service because I've invited 5 people and none came, or I invited 5 people, they came and they never came back. Well, so we see that, so what? Mm-hmm. This is, either it really wasn't for them, and that's fine, or it really was for them, and they felt their inner sanctum being breached, and they very often get up and they speak and then they disappear.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
So we we're beginning to understand that process and accept that as part of the gift that we offer.
Yeah.
And people are entitled to do that.
Sure. And then maybe they'll come back and people have, 2 years later, or
That's right.
or never.
Or never.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop us from doing what we need to do. Just like as the counselor, I can't be stopped by how the client is reacting, because then I will never do my job.
Yes.
To fulfill my responsibility to help them to the best of my ability.
Is this the right place this time? Okay.
So you can't see you. Do the light.
Okay. There you go. Here? Okay.
You'll see yourself on the bottom.
I can see. Oh, all right. Okay. So yeah, I feel a lot of hope as well. That was like, that word was really resonating with me a lot when Todd was talking. And I was relating a lot when you were speaking, Beth, and the more you talked about reaching the inner sanctum. And I mean, I felt a lot of like my own fear about that, and how much I've used like that excuse that like, I can't take it if someone yells at me, or withdraws their love or something. Like I've just really, that's what I just thought, like I can't handle that. So that's really stopped me before. But when you gave the example about, the way I understood it was with kids, but you said something about, I think you were talking about Richard's like volunteering or something about how, you have to do that there too. Like you have to be able to expose someone's weakness and, work with them through it. And then that's when I was like, oh, I can do that. I feel like, I'm sorry, my back's to you. But it just gave me that hope, because I then like it kind of like the doors opened up for me, because I had seen the power and the need for that, because I've done that so much with my students, and I've worked so hard to be able to have them develop that that trust with me, that they'll let me see them. And I know how liberating it is, like for them and for me, because then I can help them, and in my relationships too. Like I'm getting better at it, and looking and see, and I know we're gonna see you guys together. Then I've been feeling so ambivalent about it, and just this discussion helped me so much about that. That's what it's about. But I really do. I want that liberation, with all of you. So we can do it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yay! By the way, did some new people come in the back, sitting in the back on the side, or new people after we introduced ourselves?
Yes, Jill, Steve, and Sandy joined us.
Oh, excellent. Oh, so nice to see you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. So glad.
Well, this has, I think, been an issue for me from the womb. And how to stay small, and she won't know I'm here.
Inner sanctum.
Yeah. I kept thinking when you're talking about the inner sanctum, how much for a woman physical intimacy means breaking through something. And for me, that was so difficult. I had to have a surgeon do it. And that's a kind of a physical symbol of how much I fight. And I've been living with a roommate now and of course I've had two husbands for 2.5 years, and have finally, we had a talk about, we really should start talking to each other. It really, we've been trying not to. We've been committed to not talking to each other for 2.5 years, and finally it really isn't working. And we said, well, when should we do this? We need to make a time. And we said, let's do it Monday, because maybe the spiritual service will have something to do with this. So we are incredibly intuitive and fearful. But the funniest thing I think about it, and I think why it's so hard for me with a roommate or a husband, is because they see it all the time. You know, it's no secret. And I think one of the things you said to me once that really helped me was, I don't know, I was revealing something very frightening to reveal. And you said, Irene, we see it anyway, and we still love you. And that's just so true. We do see each other, even when we're trying to hide from each other.
Yeah, we only wish our pathologies were as hidden from others as us to ourselves. We're to ourselves more. I mean, everybody else sees it.
Hello.
Hello.
So the last couple of days I've been exploring starting to bake with gluten-free, sugar-free stuff. And of course, I want it to be a fabulous experience because I'm doing it for myself, right? So I want this to be really tasty and wonderful in this process. So anyways, I got up this morning and started doing the baking process, and I was washing the dishes. And all of a sudden I had thoughts of resentment about washing the dishes, and I noticed there was some irritation and stuff, and I'm kind of wondering, I'm going like, somehow it just didn't make sense to me because I was having all a good experience with this whole thing, and all of a sudden I'm having this experience out of the blue. So Elizabeth comes in, and so I revealed that I was feeling these feelings. So I asked her if there was anything going on with her, whether there was any feelings going on with her. And of course, we come to find out that she was feeling this way about how she wasn't getting what she wanted to get done on the computer and stuff. And I asked her if she felt alone, because I had the thoughts is that she's not helping me with the dishes. So I asked her whether she was feeling alone. So, I mean, you know, here it is that it felt so real, like they were my feelings, right? Yeah. Like, and my mind is, of course, trying to take what I'm doing and wrap it into that meaning that it's about this.
Yeah.
But by staying in the inquiry and looking at myself and going, yeah, but why would I be having this experience right now? This just came right out of the blue, right? So instead of engaging into the whole thing and making my identity yet, I stayed objective in regards to the feelings and just let them be themselves. And of course, Elizabeth, I ended up just kind of laughing about it, right? And so you're all invited to have some taste of my exploration here.
Oh my God, are you gonna mix?
Yeah, so we're having
in a freezer bag?
We're having a potluck, and I made chili, which is really awesome. Not to brag, but it is. And I made carrot cake, and I made blueberry cake. So, and the carrot cake even has, it has carrots in it, but it also has the topping with goat cheese and goat milk and goat butter. And anyway, so we'll explore and find out.
So this is all gluten-free and sugar-free. Well, James, maybe we should come back to California.
I should stay over here.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say this because I'm standing. I got up a couple times to just raise the thermostat a degree or two because I was still feeling cold and the heat is rising.
Right.
But prior to this, for years, there wasn't warm air blowing out of that. It was cold air. And so when I had this you called for the service guy, but I was the person here. He said, oh yeah, no wonder you're not getting any heat. Some part it had to be replaced. So it feels good to have contributed to that.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean it that way, but I mean, it was freezing in here when we were watching you before, and now it's not. It's much better. Yeah, this feels kind of anti-something to what Christopher was saying, but I don't think it really is. I just had the awareness, the tutoring that I do, and I'm not volunteering to do it. I'm being paid for it, and it's being funded by a grant that the local school district, that Vista Unified, has under the No Child Left Behind federal program. So it's very structured, and I had to go through, well, several hours of orientation to how to do this. And, you know, I mean, that's the structure is good because it's clear what the expectations are, and I think it'll actually help me work with the kids more effectively. And this morning, what listening to you made me realize is that it's not just about me going in and helping them learn a subject, because most of these kids are probably behind grade level or they've been identified in need in some way. But it's about connecting with them, and it's about finding out how they feel about having a tutor, and you know, and developing some connection with them. That's what I used to love about my work, is because I could connect with kids. And so I'm excited to do this again, because I think even though there's a part of me, but it's really tiny. When I was teaching school, I always struggled with the academics that I, you know, as a teacher was supposed to present versus building relationships with students and fostering their growth and their potential. You know, and so I left teaching so I could do that as a school counselor. And what's nice about what I'm going to be moving into, I think, is that I'm, you know, these are one-to-one sessions, and there's 24 hours spread over. Oh, I have to be done with this by the end of April, so there's plenty of time to do it. So it's just exciting to think about, you know, oh, here I am, and I've been retired a few years, and I've had lots of learning about myself and different ways of relating, and feel much more transparent than I've ever been, and not loaded with shame like I had been. And so, you know, I get to go in, and not that I'm going to transform these kids, but that I think I can help with their transformation, and, you know, have us do it together. It's not me going in telling them, well, this is what you need to do. And, you know, they don't need that. What they need is somebody to be compassionate and guide them and assist them. And, you know, so I'm really looking forward to it. And this morning just made me think that's really what I need to do, is focus on not what I'm good at. I am good at it, but, you know, the relationship building, and the other stuff will come, you know, and then it'll just be icing on the cake. And I'm sure, well, I don't know what I'm going to report back, but I in a few months I'll report back on how it's been for me and for them. But so thanks.
Okay, after is done, I think Ross to music or whatever, running out of time. But please, go ahead.
Hi, it's Helena. I was just, you'll be happy to know that I had kind of a breakthrough conversation of being more transparent with Chuck about something the other night. And it's just been coming forward. I'm just, when I was thinking this morning about coming here in the new year and stuff, I was just thinking that it's just really time to move on some of the things that we've been working toward, you know. And and it's interesting when you ended with the no lies in 2014, and there was some story on NPR that I was catching the other day about some guy who was just like, you know, he was just talking about how he'd felt, you know, we just shouldn't be telling lies, period, you know. And I just realized how much I've been sort of going back and forth about, well, you know, sometimes it's really harsh to not tell a lie. You know, there's the protective lies sort of thing. And I just realized, you know, it's just up for me to really work at being more transparent and being more truthful. So.
Oh, yeah. Meeting. Roz, I don't got planned for the rest of the service, but we do need to kind of bring it to a close. But I would like to say that I have so enjoyed being with you today. I love the new setup that you have the chairs so that I can actually see most of you. I hope it's not too awkward for you, but it's wonderful for us because I feel like we're a community now. I don't mind. I used to mind sitting in the front and everything had to be a circle because, you know, that was the way that it would look more democratic. But after all, I am here as, you know, to offer something. So I guess it doesn't hurt to let that be seen. Be transparent about that even. And I've just really enjoyed the connection and feel the growth of our community, and just everything that everybody said today is just such a testament. As Todd was saying about, you know, we've gone through so much and we keep coming back together and we're just better every year. And I feel very excited about the coming year. In the prediction show, I did not predict that I thought 2014 would be a great year for us, but I actually do feel that 2014 is going to be a great year for us. Not an easy year, but a great year. And being with you today has really reinforced that feeling and the confidence that we can do this and that we can be here where I gain the strength that I can share with you, and that you continue to be there and work with each other to develop the strength you need to be with each other and me. So I want to thank each and every one of you for all the work that you do every day